Alright, Screaming Demons RC, SDRC, in the shop again tonight. Continuing on, part 2 of the Typhon, Arrma Typhon disassembly, and ready for the rebuild for next spring at the SD compound. Okay, tonight basically, I'm, like I said, just going to continue on taking this thing apart. I'm going to be taking these homemade chassis braces out because I have the nice GKA ones I'll be installing. And so there's just a few more things that have to come off this chassis. I'm going to leave some components on here because I potentially will start putting together with my spare parts another Typhon as I acquire extra parts for it. Maybe a basher, maybe one to sell to a friend or something, who knows. But I don't think I'll be needing the extra chassis. One of the crew said, well, why don't you double up the chassis and have the new one and the old one together to make it twice as thick. I don't know if I want to go to that extent. It's going to be really thick, probably pretty heavy. I mean, it would be durable, yes, but I don't know if I want to go to that exact extent of weight. And you also have to add longer screws into everything. It's a process, so I think I'll just go with the single chassis and try and, well, take it a little easier on it. I don't know if that happens around here, but alright, I'm gonna get started and I'll show you guys what I leave on this chassis here in a bit here. Okay, here's a tip for some of you newer guys or guys that just don't know this, girls, obviously, everybody. So little mini torch, everybody knows what those are, right? Get them at the dollar store or whatever, cheap. Use those to heat up these screws that hold your motor mount and your center diff mount. There's basically these three across here and these two here. Only reason being is they're going to be Loctited into your chassis, either from the factory, or you should do that when you disassemble and reassemble your vehicle. Loctite them in. From the factory, I believe it's red Loctite, really hard to get out. You will strip these screws if you don't heat them. I use blue Loctite, that's all you need when you reassemble them. Remember to let it sit for 24 hours so it's nice and cured. But to get it undone, simply just torch these babies, torch them for a bit. You'll know when they're real hot. Even sometimes they'll start to give a little bit of smoke out the other side. Anyway, then get on there with your tool and crack them all free. Remember, don't touch them, they're going to be hot. Anyway, we'll get on with this build or disassembly. Alright, we're back. I've got this chassis taken all apart, stripped down, everything off it that I needed. Basically, I'm going to be using the old stock BLX speed control and motor. I'm going to be putting that in my Savage, HPI Savage I'm building. The rest of these components will be getting put into the not the brand new, the rebuild Typhon. So we're going to just put this chassis to the side, and we're going to be starting with this nice new chassis I've got right here. Just one sec. Right here. And GKA mount, or chassis braces over there. I'm going to look into getting some new, these go from your center drive shaft to the rear diff, and the center drive shaft, center diff to the front diff. That's the front one. I believe that's the front one, yeah. Short one. And the long one is the rear, I believe. Is that how it's set up, or vice versa? I think it's vice versa. Anyway, I'm going to look into getting some new ones possibly, because these ones, see if I can see this, they're getting kind of worn. Sorry about the jumping around there. I'm going to focus on this. You can see these are getting pretty worn. So I'm going to look in and see how much they cost for a new set of those. And then at least I'll have some spares also. These I can run for spares. And here's the other one. It's not as bad, but still definitely some wear. And I got a new center diff and a new drive cup. Brand new one of these here. This is the one that's not in too bad a shape. The one that was on the rear, which is, hold on here. That's this one. She's really pooched. Look at that. Like Mike Funk said, yeah, keep using it, but I didn't like how it was sounding in my vehicle. It was really notchy and making some loud kind of clankety noises in there, crunching around a bit, and I didn't like it, so I figured I'd replace it, and I'll have some spare parts. I always like spares anyway. I can use a bunch of spares around the shop. Anyway, we're going to cut this video pretty quick. It took me a bit longer than I wanted to take to get this apart, because I had a problem getting one of these screws, the screw that went into here. It actually was really in there with that Loctite. Even though I heated it up, I still stripped the head on it. It was a stainless steel, which I don't really like stainless steels. I already threw the screw away, but it was one of these screws right here. Hold on, I'll focus. And yeah, it just ended up stripping the head. It I wasn't using the best tool at the time, so that had something to do with it. So I got out the Dremel and the zippy cutter and put a little, I'd show you guys why I threw it in the garbage. I'd put a little X in the center of the screw. I don't know if you guys have done that before. Like a flathead notch one way, and then a flathead notch the other way, and then just get on it with a flathead screwdriver or a star screwdriver, and it should come out. And obviously add some more heat. I think the reason I stripped that first one is because I didn't add enough heat to it before I actually tried getting it to start. Anyway, everything looks pretty good shape. I had one of these bearings in the back. Let's see if you can hear it. It's kind of dry sounding, so I'm going to take all that apart and make sure I get in there and have a good look at that. I'll be installing my GKA servo mount. It's a beautiful piece here. Eliminates all the flex out of the stock one. Highly recommend. I believe this is the low. They also have a taller mounted one, but this is the low one, I believe. So it works good in the Typhon. I think you have to use it because the body is so low down onto the chassis. Anyway, I'm going to cut this short. I'm rambling on here, and I'll be doing a third part of this video series probably tomorrow night. I'm going to start this next video, so if you guys like that, subscribe, hit the bell, throw me up a like, and thanks a lot. Screaming Demons RC, SDRC, out.